The rain falls, a relentless grey sheet that blurs the giant ferns and turns the soil to a slick red clay. It washes the scent of blood from the air, but not from the ground. Kale, the young Australopithecus, crouches low, his knuckles pressed into the mud. Before him lies the ruin of a great beast, a female Triceratops. Her body a mountain of cooling flesh torn open by a predator that has long since eaten its fill and departed. This is the nature of prehistoric life. A cycle of consumption Kale understands. His clan would have seen the carcass as a gift, a bounty to be stripped with flint knives. But Kale's attention is not on the dead mother. It is fixed on a sound, a thin, reedy cry almost lost in the downpour. He finds it huddled beneath a canopy of leaves, shivering. An orphaned calf, no larger than a wild boar, its frills still softened, its 3 horns, mere bumps of cartilage. Its eyes, wide and black, fix on him. Instinct, sharpened over a million years of survival, screams at Kale. It is a thing of the behemoths, the earth shakers who could crush his kind without noticing. His own clan would have seen it as a future threat or, at best, a small offering of meat. But Kale sees only the trembling, the bewildered loss in its gaze. He sees himself small in a world of giants. In an act that defies every lesson his short life has taught him, he reaches out a hand, not with a stone, but with an open palm. The calf bleats again, a sound of pure misery, and nudges his leg with its blunt, keratin-no-US beak. Leading it back is a fool's errand. The calf is clumsy, its footing unsure in the mud. Its cries a dinner bell echoing through the jungle. Kale's senses are on fire, every snapped twig, every distant roar, a promise of death. But the small creature follows him with a desperate, trusting gait that cements his insane decision. When they finally emerge from the tree line, the clan's shelter a wide, smoke-stained overhang of rock comes into view. The fire, a pulsing orange heart, promises warmth and safety. But the figures around it, his fellow ancient humans, turn their heads, and their expressions are not of welcome. Bor, the old leader, rises to his feet. His face is a mask of hard-won survival, his eyes narrowed against the newcomer. The other hunters grip their spears tighter. They see not a lost creature, but a monster in the making. They see the shadow of its mother, a creature that could pulverize their shelter. They see a mouth to feed that is not their own, a weakness that will draw the true hunters of this world. The Oa takes a step forward, raises his flint-tipped spear, and points it directly at the cow. The message is clear, a silent command Kale has obeyed his entire life. Abandon the beast. But Kale looks from Bor's unyielding face to the terrified calf pressing against his legs, and for the first time, the command of his elder is just a hollow sound against the storm inside him. He does not move. He stands between the spear and his unwanted kin. Bor does not speak. He does not need to. He simply lowers his spear and turns his back on Kale, a gesture of severance more final than any shout. The rest of the clan follows suit, their forms melting back toward the warmth of the fire, leaving Kale and the shivering calf alone in the cold, unforgiving rain. The long, brutal line of hominid history had taught one lesson above all. The clan is life, solitude is death. Kale has just chosen solitude. He nudges the calf, which he now thinks of as horn, away from the life he can no longer have, and they disappear into the dripping, twilight jungle. The only shelter he finds is a shallow fissure in a rock face, barely deep enough to escape the worst of the rain, a pathetic defense against the night's true terrors. As darkness pools in the undergrowth, they arrive, not with a roar, but with a chilling silence. A flicker of movement in the ferns, then another. Kale smells them first, a dry, musky scent like old scales and fresh meat. Then he sees them. A pack of Deinonychus, sleek and feathered, moving with a fluid, bird-like grace that belies their killing power. They are not large, but they are intelligent, their heads swiveling, their yellow eyes glowing faintly in the gloom. They are patient ambush predators, and they have scented the perfect meal. A small, vulnerable hominid and an even more vulnerable morsel of a Triceratops, far from any herd or clan. The first probe comes an hour after true dark. A single raptor detaches from the half-circle they have formed, creeping forward. Kale's heart hammers against his ribs. He shoves horn deeper into the crevice and grabs the heaviest stone he can lift. He stands in the narrow opening, his knuckles white, and lets out a guttural bark, trying to sound larger than he is. The raptor pauses, its head cocked, considering him. It is not afraid, merely calculating. It hisses, a sound like steam escaping a fissure, and retreats. But Kale knows it is not over. This was a test. They spend the night in a state of siege. The pack circles, their soft footfalls a constant, terrifying whisper. Every few minutes, a different one will test the entrance, a snout poking through a gap in the ferns Kale has hastily shoved into place, a claw scratching against the stone. Kale stays awake, his body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. He wedges a large, flat stone to narrow the opening, a desperate piece of primitive technology. The calf has warmth, a small comfort against the chilling fear. He is no longer just protecting a foundling, he is guarding the only other living creature in this hostile darkness that is on his side. He has traded the safety of his species for a bond with another, and the price of that choice is now being tallied by the patient killers in the jungle. The night stretches on, an eternity of waiting for the flash of teeth and the killing blow. The rain stops just before dawn, leaving a false peace. The jungle exhales a cool mist, and for a moment, the world is silent. It is then that they attack, not with a frontal assault, but with the coordinated cunning of pack hunters. Deinonychus hisses burst from the ferns at the entrance, hissing and snapping, drawing Kale's exhausted attention. He grips his only weapon, a heavy, sharp-edged rock, and swings it wildly, a desperate act of defiance. He is a gatherer, a scavenger, not a warrior, and his defense is clumsy. One of the raptors fights left, then lunges right, its teeth scoring a deep gash along his forearm. Pain, hot and sharp, explodes up his arm. But it is a distraction. The true attack comes from above. The pack's alpha, larger and bolder, has scaled the rock face and leaps down into the shallow fissure behind him. Kale hears the scrape of its claws on stone and turns. His heart. The alpha ignores him, its eyes fixed on the whimpering calf. It gathers itself for the kill, its lethal sickle claw rising from its foot like a honed flint blade. In that instant, something breaks inside Horn. Terror gives way to a primal instinct it doesn't know it has. With a terrified squeal that sounds more like a roar, the calf lowers its head and charges. It is not a graceful or powerful blow, but a clumsy, desperate head but of pure fear. It catches the raptor in the ribs, knocking the predator off balance for a single, crucial second. That second is all it takes. A spear, longer and heavier than anything Kale could fashion, slams into the alpha's side. It shrieks, a high, piercing sound of agony and surprise. Grak, a young hunter from the clan, stands at the entrance to the fish shaft. His face is grim, his knuckles white on the spear shaft. He had followed, his curiosity battling his fear, unable to accept the clan's cold dismissal. What he witnessed in the pre-dawn gloom, Kale's hopeless bravery, the calf's impossible defense, has shattered his understanding of the world. He yanks his spear free and shoves Kale behind him, facing the remaining raptors. He is everything Kale is not, a trained hunter, his movements economical and deadly. He uses the spear's length as a wall, a piece of advanced primitive technology the raptors cannot bypass. Seeing their alpha wounded and the odds suddenly changed, the pack hesitates, their hunter's calculus rewritten. With a final chorus of angry hisses, they melt back into the jungle, taking their wounded leader with them. Silence falls, broken only by Kale's ragged breaths and Horn's terrified whimpers. Grak does not speak. He simply stands guard as the sun rises, the bloody point of his spear aimed at the darkness that has retreated, but has not gone away. The morning light reveals the small, bloody tableau, the wounded hominid, the trembling calf, and the silent hunter who broke the law of his clan to enforce a new one. This single act, born of a young outcast's inexplicable compassion, does not change the world. The great dinosaurs still shake the earth, and the nights are still filled with teeth. But it changes the trajectory of human evolution. Here, in this forgotten corner of a prehistoric world, a line is crossed. A weapon is used not just for a clan member but for another. Empathy, once a familial luxury, becomes a tactical tool, the first flicker of the idea that strength can be found not just in killing, but in protecting. This is the seed of domestication, the dawn of the alliance, the audacious notion that the small, clever apes do not have to face the titans alone. It is a choice that will echo down through uncounted generations, shaping the very definition of what it means to be human long before the first city is built or the first god is named. For what is civilization if not the slow, painful learning of the lesson that a spear is best used to defend the vulnerable, no matter what shape they wear? For in the deepest past, the greatest monsters were not the ones with teeth, but the ones we failed to understand. But the law of the earth is not the only law, and the sky holds its own hungers.